It's so important to have proper and clear and transparent information about what works, why it works, how we can be sure that that really works, and how we can predict this and improve. That's why AI really can show about the data, about the figures, about the predictability and the analytics. But it has a lot of specificity in terms of how right it should be used, because you need to input the data carefully. You need to give a proper parameters for the analysis. The outcome will depend on this. So that's cooperation between the bright-minded professionals and the AI. This is the success.
Welcome to the Care to Lead podcast. Today, I'm happy to introduce to you Dr. Uliana Dorofeyeva. She's an IVF specialist and director of clinical operations at Ovogene, the world's first AI-driven egg donor bank. She's a leading authority in assisted reproductive technologies, specializing in avant-garde fertility treatments. Dr. Dorofeyeva is at the forefront of reproductive medicine, and I am really interested in diving in with you. So welcome, Dr. Dorofeyeva.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. This is my pleasure, and I'm happy to be with you today.
So we're excited to have you, and I don't know about the rest of the world or any of our listeners, but AI and egg donors, I never put the two together. So can you unpack that a little bit for us and tell us more about it?
I would rather start from the history of egg banking for me. I started my medical career in 2008 as a young physician and a doctor dedicated to the first international cooperation, which in that time was happening between Ireland and Ukraine. You know that the shortage of the oocyte donors is global and it's rapidly increasing. And there are several countries in terms of the regulatory aspects where oocyte donation is totally legal and allowed. So I'm Ukrainian. I moved currently to Europe. However, still we are having our operations as Ovogene in different countries. And so far, these are 5 countries. Many of them are East Europe, but other locations as well. And one of the countries are still Ukraine. So back in 2008, that was the beginning of the fact that we learned what does it mean to recruit donors. We started from the fact of educating them, of telling them true and all information related to the stimulation, medications, planning, number of treatment cycles, what donation is, how it is regulated globally, and so on. So, and because of my involvement in the international operations in that time, and the fact that I learned about how that can be managed, controlled, and organized globally, and the fact that we cannot help only individual patients, because I'm still a doctor, I am seeing patients day to day or sometimes time to time because of a lot of trips all around the globe. But while I'm seeing individual patient, I can help just an individual patient to become a parent. But while we decided to grow and why we decided to grow an egg bank, this is because while we are starting cooperation between an egg bank, which we are provider of the biological materials, and clinic overseas, whenever in the globe is a receiver of those biological materials, this is how we can help many more couples globally. So this is how we decided to build an egg bank and why. And in terms of the AI, this is, sphere is very dynamic. Medicine is really a sphere which influences a lot and which is very sensitive from one side. It's very important and responsible in terms of the decision-making processes. But it's so specific and unique in terms of the development and the technology driven. That's why AI, this is something what we implemented in our daily routine practice since several years already, because we are improving our egg banking constantly. And we understood that technologies which are helping to analyze, to understand the data, to predict the data, to avoid routine work from our bright-minded doctors and clinicians and just the staff members, and something would can be given to the machine learning and the processes related to this. This is how we may work faster, more effective, more organized, more predictive, increasing the success rate, the workflows, and so on. That's why AI and egg donation.
I gotcha. So, as a couple that might be interested in this, or this is kind of all seamless, then I'm guessing the AI is all behind the scenes and a couple's not aware of what is happening behind the scenes. Is that accurate?
Correct. IVF in general, it's about education. And I may share 100% of this is what I see while communicating with patients, that recently patients are more and more educated. They have access to amount of platforms, online, digital learning and education. It's different because, for example, we still are facing and we are answering the questions either fresh is better than vitrified biological material. Is it true or not? This is not true for many, many years, and that has been proven. However, the amount of information online which any person can search is much higher, and the volume is much bigger for the fresh materials, because this is vitrification. This is something what we learn much later. And we had to implement this in the practical experience. And of course, many publications are comparing. And if clinics or the practice does not has enough ability to practice with the specific methodology, the outcomes will may be lower until they are practicing. But after they are getting this fully professional, that's totally same. And while we learned, but still amount is less about this specific technology. That's why it's so important to have proper and clear and transparent information about what works, why it works, how we can be sure that that really works, and how we can predict this and improve. That's why AI really can show about the data, about the figures, about the predictability and the analytics. But it has a lot of specificity in terms of how right it should be used, because you need to input the data carefully. You need to give a proper parameters for the analysis. The outcome will depend on this. So that's cooperation between the bright-minded professionals and the AI. This is the success.
Absolutely, because anytime and whatever people are using AI for, it matters what you put in the information and the data. So you're right; it has to be a good cooperation between those bright minds and the AI. What are some of the most common misconceptions about egg donation, egg banks, and about this entire topic that you might like to debunk for our listeners?
That's a great question. Thank you so much. And this is something what motivates me a lot. I'm 40 right now, and the our patients, average age of our patient is increasing. And it's increasing, like I used to say, it's 35 plus, but we just made our recent statistics and it's not 35, it's over 40. And we are having patients 45, 47, 49, 51. Regulations are different globally in terms of for how long or until what age should we treat our patients using IVF technologies, and also about technologies which are effective. If we are talking about oocyte donation, this is the only effective technology what can bring the child born for the patients in their advanced maternal age without facing multiple negative outcomes, uneuploid embryos, repeated cycles, miscarriages, and all these unfortunate negative outcomes of the treatment. IVF should be easy, should be successful, should be fast. For some age of the patients, this is unfortunately oocyte donation. That's why, because the general population of women is aging. We are still young, we are beautiful because we have different technologies in terms of the all areas of the medicine, and we want to be fertile. We want to plan when we need a family to be started and so on. And there are technologies like the oocyte vitrification, if it's done in time. Unfortunately, that was not that common 10 years, 15 years ago. So not many women are having their biological materials in order to be used while they are 40 plus. But oocyte donation is really effective. What we do different as well, we are practicing mitochondrial donation, which is unique treatment. And this is something what gives a hope for the patients who are over in their advanced maternal age, but they are still producing their own oocytes, and then they can grow their genetic material, their nucleuses, inside of the donor egg environment, which is the mitochondrial donation. This is something what is beautiful and just great alternative for the oocyte donation. But oocyte donation should be as an daily practice in the IVF centers. That's something what statistically it's between 20 to 30% in every clinic all over the globe isn't medically indicated. So there will be any other successful treatment for the patient except the oocyte donation. That's why this is something what we need to understand why it is so important, and we need to practice this, but in the proper way. What is not proper way? This is forcing donors to donate. At Ovogene, we have our teamwork, and this is part of our community, like an Ovogene community. We are having an organization which is called Donors for Life, which is acting globally. And these are the team of the medical coordinator, doctors, psychologists, and the recruiters. And their primary goal is to educate a donor what does it mean to be a donor, and is to take care about the donor during the whole process, since the very first visit for the antral follicle count until she donated her first time or second time or multiple times of how many she was able to donate together with us according to the regulations, according to her outcomes, efficiency data, and so on. So this is to take care and to guarantee that oocyte donation is performed in the ethical, proper, and the safe way.
So, what strategies or approaches have you found most effective in reaching and educating people on this topic?
That's to present a data, to just go deeper into the details, starting from the physiology of the menstrual cycle of women age, on number of the antral follicles which are possible to be recruited in every menstrual cycle, on the fact that either we are interrupting somehow the development of the follicles or the menstrual cycle function or not, that the reserve which is given in every menstrual cycle is given in these months. And if we are not using this reserve during the entire menstrual cycle, that's just lost. Because statistically, we are born with over 7 millions of antral follicles. And then when we are in the puberty, we are left with about 2 millions. But total number of the menstrual cycles within the entire life of woman is about 400 to 500, meaning this is the number of the oocytes which develop until the final development and until the ovulation. So we ovulate 500 times during entire life, but we are having millions of the follicles which are just lost. So what we are doing while we are having IVF treatment or the stimulation for the donor, we are just helping those follicles not to be lost and to produce the oocyte, which can be frozen and used for future, or which can be donated and just help someone else to grow and to have their family.
So, I can definitely hear a lot of passion in your voice about what you're doing. What is it that excites you most about Ovogene, the company?
What excites me in my job, like, first, since I was a kid, I wished to be a doctor. My parents were doctors, and I joined them in a clinic very often. And all people in white for me were like angels because they saved lives. They helped to have higher quality of life for people. And while I was at medical university, I thought I will be an obstetrician to help new babies to be born. But after I learned about fascinating IVF, and that was just roughly the beginning of the technologies globally, because that was 2000, 2004, 5. So that was just started to be global, and we could start to practice this. That was not science anymore, but that was just a practice, but just very beginning of this practice. So since I learned about this, I understood I should be an IVF specialist. And this is the innovations, and this is the area which is truly inspiring. And I feel really honored to build my career in such a dynamic and rewarding field. That's why I feel very positive about having an impact on the lives of the families and helping them to bring the miracle of the new life into the world. That's why Ovogene, being global and being so easy communicatable with any clinic all around, like we are having our professional colleagues and our partners on 5 continents right now. We learned everything about different regulations globally. What does it mean to comply, for example, with FDA regulations or the Health Canada regulations or IGFA or Australian guidelines and so on. Medicine is practiced in the proper and ethical way globally the same. Regulations are the regulations, but if we are having, for example, standards which are ISO or CAP, which are international, and we are following those standards, starting from the communication and the consultation for the donor, we do all the same what the clinic in the US will do, or the clinic in the UK will do while recruiting the donor, while explaining the process, while having their tests done, in which laboratory they will test, because laboratories are as well. They are global, they are having the same standards, they are using the same methodology, the same consumables, and so on. We all agree what does mean about measuring IMH or antral follicle count, what are the standard approaches of the ovarian stimulation, and how it should be made in the safe and the proper way, how we assist the quality of the cells which we receive. We score them the same as any other laboratory will score them globally. So since I think COVID, that was a time which was which shown us the fact how much people are traveling for getting fertility services and how stuck they were during while having no ability to travel. And why they are traveling, because they are looking for the destinations where legally some specific process is allowed. They are looking for the destination where it's cheaper, maybe. They are looking for the higher quality of the services. So this all stimulates them to travel, and having online consultations and just talking to you with the 8 hours difference. I'm having the same consultations with patients from California and San Diego and then Florida and so on. And they are traveling to visit us if they need our help. And they feel totally confident while having this process. Of course, that should be a teamwork. That cannot be just one doctor. I'm not alone at Ovogene. I'm not alone while building all this, let's say, business, but it's not a business. This is passion of helping clinics and patients globally. So while if you love this, if you know what you do, if you are totally confident and you improving constantly, then this is the right way as for me.
What has been, I get there's a lot of regulations and a lot of different things, but if you were to say the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome to get this whole process up and running on this big global network, what's been the biggest obstacle that you've faced?
I think the biggest obstacle was just to start. And, you had to believe that this is possible. Still, for many clinics and for many even networks, they are quite, for example, they are working within one country. It's not anymore, this is not a practice. Like more and more clinics, they are grouping globally. But this is something what started to be a fact just last several years, let's say 5 years. Until that time, We had groups either within one country. In Europe, I can say, for example, there was a very potential and very strong Spanish group. It used to be Spanish until several years ago, and then they become global. They have got a clinic in Sweden, a clinic in France, then the partnership in the US, and so on. So this is how business grows. We are not such a huge business yet. We are just an egg bank. We are having our product, and our main product is an donor oocyte. Yes, we are developing as we are implementing AI, morphological selection. We are having mitochondrial donation as a unique service and so on. But we are having just one product. And our responsibility is to have a volume enough because we need to supply all our customers. And currently, our customers who started with us, we haven't lost any partner since we started being an egg bank. And we grown organically because the clinic which has an access to the donor materials, they are growing because they have access. Patients should not wait. There is not a long waiting list until the donor will become available. They implemented successful vitrification and sowing, meaning there is no risk. It's not fresh anymore. There is no risk that donor will change her mind. She will not start her bleed in time, or she will become pregnant, or she would have some other responsibilities to do, and that's why she need to cancel her cycle. So we have guarantee on the fact that eggs are immediately available. So our responsibility is just to satisfy the volume and the quality of the biological materials. And for us, this works as an online database. So all materials we have, and we keep usually more than 5,000 oocytes constantly available because we are having new supply and we are working in 5 countries as our affiliated medical clinical centers where donors are recruited, stimulated, screened, and then we are getting their oocytes and we store them in our central facility right now. This is in Slovakia. So patients or partners, they can see eggs which are immediately available. Once the order is made, we can ship those oocytes into the final destinations. That's usually done within 1 month, even can be faster. And then next month, patient can start already their treatment. Meaning our focus is to have immediate availability and to work in order to satisfy the demands and needs of the clinic and the patients. Because if patients is deciding to have the treatment and if they decided to have oocyte donation, sometimes this is not an easy decision because it's related with the psychological concerns of making this decision of being ready, having an oocyte donor. But once they are ready, they should not wait. This is our policy. They need to have an access and they need to have a highly effective treatment in the shortest time possible.
Is there a success story or a case study that you could share? Obviously, with privacy, no names, but is there anything that you could share with our listeners about a recent success or a specific story?
There are many stories. That's how many patients we see. Each of them has an individual story. That's true that for us, many stories, they are starting, unfortunately, from 4, 5, and more negative cycles before. Because until patient is deciding to accept the fact that she is ready for the oocyte donation, she already tried her own eggs, for sure. And due to different reasons, she was not successful, or she was successful, but just for a short period of time. Biochemical pregnancies, pregnancies which were without like embryo inside mostly due to the genetic disorders, or miscarriages, early miscarriages or later miscarriages, so on. So once they decide to proceed with the oocyte donation, they know what does it mean IVF, how does it mean to be stimulated, what the process is, what about their endometrium, what about their immune system response, what does it mean ERA and all tests around, for example, and so on. So they are well educated. They just need to be psychologically ready and they need to believe in the process. They need to cooperate we are always saying that this is a teamwork because between the medical team and the coordinators, as for many of our patients, they need to travel, they need to have special and additional arrangements. If they do treatment with us, if they are not treated in their clinic, and like stories are really different. Recently, we had a case with patient who lost their son because of the cancer while the son was already 16 and the patient was in that time she was 43. She tried several IVF after that, and while she was 45, she decided to use an oocyte donor. She just gave a birth recently, and that's very sensitive story about this. So not only those patients who never had kids, but also having a new family, having a new husband, building their lives after building career for many years, and being absolutely sure that they will be fertile for a long time because nobody told them that they need to freeze eggs, for example, while she was working and focused on something else. So stories are really different. They are very sensitive, and we are happy to help as many patients we can.
So, if a patient travels to you to be treated at your locations, are there facilities close by that you're working with where people can stay and housing and all of that for patients, or do they stay in hotels? How does that work?
Yeah, so our locations, that's Slovakia within European Union. We have location in Albania, which is Tirana, Georgia, Tbilisi, Ukraine. Team of the medical coordinators, they are helping to arrange everything in terms of the travel. Once we are starting the preparation for the patient, we are making a group chat in which we are constantly in communication with the patient. There is a patient, her husband, our medical coordinator, our administrative coordinator, and the doctor or embryologist if that's needed. Very often, we involve also in this group doctors who are our friends and colleagues, and they are located in area where a patient is starting their stimulation, so they are not left alone during the whole treatment preparation process. They are starting preparation. We are sending the stimulation protocol, and they know when and even where we provide the recommendations within the list of the cooperating centers we have globally where they can start their treatment. And then we control and communicate and plan when they need to fly, if they need to fly into our destination. And of course, our team is providing all recommendations about hosting. We are taking care about sending a car and meeting them in the airport, everything about accommodation and so on. Just making this treatment and the whole process as comfortable as possible.
It sounds like you're doing a lot to make it effortless for the patient, or as effortless as possible for the patient. The last thing I want to ask you is if there's anything, like if our listeners were to walk away with one really important key piece of information from you today, what would you want that to be?
As a doctor and as a woman, as a mother, I would like to say that if there is a patient who wishes to become a mom, she just needs to keep working on these directions. The options are really many. Everything is possible. Woman can carry a baby if she has a uterus until late, let's say 50s. Like in terms of the regulations, this is very different. And this is very unfortunate because I'm practicing now in Europe, where in most of the countries, the age limit is 49. As for me, that should not be the age limit because we see so many women being so healthy, so successful, and so positive and potential. They can carry just easy their pregnancy, but they need a solution. So while there is a wish to become a parent, there should be a solution. You should not focus on just one clinic or one doctor decision or even one country regulations because globally this is so different. And while there is a aim to solve this and to find the correct and the proper team to work with and to believe in this. Like, firstly, that should be a professional team who has a data and who has a experience of being successful with the cases, even the most complicated cases, as the cases of the patient. And we are having this experience. We are receiving so many patients for the second opinion or the third, fourth opinion, and so on. So we have this ability to see the complex solution for the patient. And everything is possible until patient believes there is a way how to achieve this.
That's wonderful. How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in being a patient or a donor, or how did you want people to reach out and get a hold of you?
We are very open. Ovogene's contact details are on the website. I am everywhere in the social media. I am receiving quite often just direct contacts and the communication from mostly that's professionals like doctors, but also potential patients by LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. So that's very easy. And of course, you can share my details if needed. And me personally and Ovogene team will be happy to help.
Yeah, we will definitely have all of the links with this recording as well as with the Authority Magazine article. So they will be able to find you there. I think you've offered so much insight to our listeners, and I can't thank you enough for that. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to the Care to Lead podcast. If you found this episode valuable and you want to stay updated on our latest interviews and insights, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel or find us on your favorite podcast platform. And until next time, remember that leaders who care to lead.